You're ready.
Alright. How many of you recognize this song? Alright, I heard someone say Daft Punk. Alright, Daft Punk is one of the probably most well-known names in the genre of electronic music. And so today I'm going to be talking about electronic music, and I've been researching this topic for several weeks, and I've also been trying to learn how to DJ for a few months myself. So, you know, I'm sure we all enjoy listening to music. We all have our own favorite groups, bands, and, you know, our lives have changed a lot because of technology, and so has music. So I'm going to share with you some information I learned about electronic music, from how it's produced to how it's brought to us, the audience, through live performances, and how the meaning of DJ has actually evolved. First of all, I'm going to give you a little insight on how most electronic music is produced. Unlike music in the traditional sense where you have different people manning different instruments, electronic music can be produced, you know, entirely by a single person in a studio or even just on a computer. First thing is MIDI control. MIDI control, it enables different electronic musical instruments to work with each other, communicate and control and synchronize with each other. And the different MIDI controllers include like synthesizers and drum machines. You know, sounds can be created on those things. And here's an example. Alright. This is a synthesizer, you know, you can play on it, and this is like a digital drum machine. I don't know if it's big enough. Can you see? You know, you can just like pretty much bang on it, and then the sound that it creates can be sent through some kind of a, you know, like computer data, and can be input into the computer. And the recording, samples can be recorded either through a control process on a control board or directly into the computer. You know, a lot of you have probably seen like you have a big star control room with like a big old control board with like, you know, hundreds of buttons like these. And what's also important is the role of computers, because it's almost impossible to produce electronic music without using computers. And, you know, computers help with the storage of the samples and songs, and then the samples can also be processed on computers using certain softwares. Like, this is, you know, every single Mac computer has this. It's called a GarageBand. You can, you know, edit music on here. It's pretty nice and easy. And this is something a little more complicated. It's called Reason. You can pretty much do a lot of editing and a lot of the creating of sounds on this. And so after that, let's look at how electronic music is brought to us. You know, after songs are produced, they can be compiled into records or albums, or they can be put up onto the internet for people to download. And, you know, there are different forms. You know, everybody knows the CDs, how it looks like, and you know, there's also the vinyl records, which can be played on turntables, and there are, you know, certain websites that you can go to, like iTunes Store, or this website called Beatport, which like actual DJs or producers, they like just after they get done producing the music, they just put their music directly onto Beatport for people to download. And I'm sure we're all familiar with the term DJ, so what exactly do DJs do, and what does DJing mean, really? Well, DJ can simply mean its precise definition, which is disc jockey, which is basically a person who selects and plays popular recorded music for other people. But today, DJing has gone much beyond that. DJing also involves the mixing of different music, and remixing can be done both at home and live. And certain remix of the songs can be done on a computer using a software. This software is called Virtual DJ, which instead of actually having like a pair of decks, the physical decks in front of you, you can just use these. These are like the imitations of the actual decks, and it's a mixer in the middle. You know, there's also the live mixing. It's done on the actual equipment called decks, and they're, you know, turntables and CDJs, and then it's usually hooked up to a mixer, and then it's hooked up to the PA system. Oh, this is another example of software like this. You can actually produce music on it, and then you can also use it live to do live mixing. This is an example of a turntable, which you can play vinyl records on it. And this is a CDJ. It's more convenient. You can just like burn a CD off your computer and then just stick it in there, and then it'll play, and then you can do the mixing on there. And this is like an example of a complete setup. These are two CDJs on the side, and that's a mixer in the middle. And today, some DJs, they also produce their own music, and then they just bring it directly live to the audience. They don't have to go through, they don't, like today, some like really famous DJs, they don't even use the physical, like the decks or records or whatever. They just hook their computer into some kind of MIDI control equipment or a mixer, and they just play it live. And you know, what Daft Punk uses is something like this. It looks pretty intimidating, but like you can see, there's no actual turntables or anything. It's just a bunch of, like, there's the control console in the middle, and it's just a bunch of like MIDI controls and mixers on the side, pretty much. So I've talked you through the process of producing electronic music and the different forms that it comes in, and the different approaches to DJing and mixing. So in conclusion, electronic music has come a long way since the 70s disco era, and it has definitely become something that cannot be ignored. So no matter what kind of music, innovation and new technology is always good, so let's hope for a brighter future for music. All right, that's it.
So Sherry, what did you think?
I thought he had a good introduction. He caught the audience's attention, and he gave us a good preview of what he was going to talk about. His thesis was clearly stated, and he told us the topics that he was going to discuss. I liked how he told us that a personal experience about how he was starting to DJ, and he kept the audience interested throughout the speech by his enthusiasm kind of for the topic. And he had a good definition of terms, good voice projection and eye contact, and he wrapped up all his points very well at the end.
All right. I thought that the volume needed to be up a little bit on the song that you played at the beginning. The topic's very clearly identified. You had a very clear thesis statement and a solid preview of what the contents was going to be. Internally, though, I didn't think your signposts were very clear, and the information sort of ran together. At the end, when you had your summary, that helped rescue it a little bit. It was a little bit clear looking back what the point was that we were supposed to get there. There's no source citation for any of the information. You're describing a lot of things. There's not a lot of explanation on some of those points. The descriptions would be interesting. They'd be a heck of a lot more interesting if people could see some of the visuals that you have, but they're way too small. You're trying to get by with the laptop. I don't know if the laptop might plug into the TV. That would be one of those things that might solve a problem for people in a situation like this, but it didn't solve the problem for you in this situation. And you've got too many visuals. You've got about a dozen slides that you're presenting. You need to cut down a little bit. That last one, for instance, with Daft Punk set up on the stage, I don't know that anybody except the front row could make out what it was except a vague V shape, so I think that's a little problematic. All right, thank you.